Let's shoot the shit. Yeah, 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 yeah. Come on, let's shoot the shit. Let's pontificate, verbally masturbate. Come on, come on, come on, let's shoot the shit. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's time to shoot the shit. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, motherfucker, let's shoot the shit.
No, that problem. Oh.
Hey, welcome to another Fearless. What show are we on? Fearless QA. And as usual, you can tweet in your questions to @FearlessQA, and we'll read them. Are you trying to dip my mic down? Am I too loud? What are you doing? There's stuff going on behind the camera. It doesn't look good. The show's off to a really bad start. People seem to be panicked. I have got some really interesting people on the show. We've transitioned to, normally we're on a couch, we're at a table. There's a lot of people. We want to do a round table kind of thing. We're gonna shake it up a little bit. I've got Justin Kahn.
That's right.
Who is Justin from JustinTV, right here, which is kind of crazy. To me, it's crazy. Maybe to you, it's not that crazy.
It's not that crazy for me.
It's not that crazy. He's probably been on JustinTV before. I know I would. If I invented my own thing, I'd be on it all the time.
Well, you know how it started, right?
How did it start? No, I don't.
I carried a camera around for 6 months broadcasting our own reality show online, 24/7.
From your
San
previous...
Francisco. Yeah.
About your life or about...
Yeah, it was about me and the other guys who were starting JustinTV, yeah.
So that's I want to come back to that.
All right.
I'm going to introduce a couple other people. We got Waylon Lewis from Elephant. Waylon is heavily into new media, has a blog.
Heavily into a lot of stuff.
What you have an online magazine, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
This was
a website.
Yes, it was a physical magazine. It's transitioned to probably one of the most heavily trafficked sites in terms of sustainability and green and yoga and some Buddhism in there, stuff like that. Stuff we all like out here in Boulder.
Crystals, hemp.
A lot of crystal and hemp. Yeah. I actually didn't see crystal and hemp as a tag when I was there, but I like it. And we also have Scott Prindle, who is our chief creative technologist, something like that.
Very long title.
At CPB. And knows a lot about this space. We're going to be talking about new media. We're going to be talking about real time and what's happening with what we sometimes refer to as the nowness, the fact that the web has been this historical source of data, and it's becoming more and more real time, more and more live. And you're experiencing right now. So you're in it. You're in it up to your neck if you're watching Fearless QA.
This is live.
It is very live. It is very live. So anything can happen and might. We also could just run out of things to talk about, what's just happened. I've already
show's over.
Yeah.
There we go.
Go home. We have a bunch of, probably as many questions as we've ever had for a show, actually tweeted in to start with. But what year were you doing
Started in 07.
this show about you? And what made you think, or maybe your friends thought, God, your life is something that people are going to want to share and just be part of?
I don't know why anyone thought that, actually. Well, what happened was, that's why it's called JustinTV, is because we were making our own show, and I was carrying this camera around. We invented this camera that could broadcast from anywhere in San Francisco.
And did it also include, if you were sleeping, would I have a
like
live shot of you?
Infrared light, and it shine down on me and just see me sleeping. And I was sleeping 12 hours a day, so it was most of the show.
So there's a lot of it,
yeah.
And still today, sometimes on Justin, you can find shows like that of a box of puppies and things like that,
or
right?
some guy sleeping, or a computer store. That's a really popular one.
The computer store. Yeah. Years and years ago, when the web was almost first invented, we wanted to do a show called, I had a friend, Markham Cronin, and Markham's kind of an interesting name, but we wanted to do all Markham all the time, Markham TV.
That's basically,
and you did it.
We did.
You did it.
Similar.
And how did that grow into something like a network?
We started broadcasting in March of 2007, and about a month later, we realized we're not interesting. So we were okay, we're going to have to figure out something.
We need a box of puppies on here.
We need puppies or a computer store or something.
Or Fearless.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we built it out as a platform, and let anyone broadcast now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has it become more interesting?
I think so.
And do you still have that 24-hour what's going on with you
No,
channel?
no. This
that
is a
went
secret
away?
camera. It went away. I started broadcasting occasionally, although very rarely actually. Now I went on about a month ago to fight a bunch of fires. Everyone was mad about some changes we made to the site, so I went on and
What changes made people mad? You can talk about that here.
okay. I mean,
We're not afraid of anything.
Not afraid of change here
Anything.
at this table.
Nothing.
What changes made people mad? We changed the way that archiving worked on the site.
Oh, yeah, that made me mad.
Yeah.
That definitely made me
We
mad.
changed the way that we removed a lot of features that didn't have to do with video, so people were pretty attached to a lot of the features on the site, and that's
Right.
speaks to how much people like
Yeah.
the site. So
Yeah.
and we changed our system from we had friends and fans on the site, and we changed it all to something we call followers, which is basically similar to Twitter, where I would follow Fearless
Right,
and then
right.
get a feed. I have a feed of all the shows.
And
I follow.
it is that's going on, or did you do away with followers? You still have
No, we
followers,
still have
right?
followers on
Okay.
the site. Yeah. So
Okay.
we changed it from a system where we had friends, which was like on Facebook, where people would have to accept it, and then there were some
I
things
see.
that happened when you were friends with someone, and then you could also fan someone.
I see.
And there were some other things that happened when you were fans.
It
And,
sounds like too much.
Yeah, no, I mean you'd be emailed if they went live if you were a fan, but if you were friends, then you would be able to see where that person was on the site, but in order to fan someone, you had to go to their channel, but in order to friend someone, you had to go to their profile. It was the most confusing system in the world. I don't know who thought of it.
So what? So within this world, and Scott, maybe you can talk about this. Within this, things becoming more real time. It feels like this obviously plays into this. Something, if you go and literally there are a box of puppies or a computer store, and if you go there right now, don't switch away. But if you did, you would see basically nothing, but it's live nothing. And there's something compelling about that. What's going on with that?
Why do you watch the computer store?
That's a tough question.
No, it is a tough question.
I'm not giving you the
think-
easy ones.
No, that was a tough question to start with.
You'll get easy
I don't know. I
ones.
think it's just the newness of it and the fact that all of this is happening on the internet. We've become accustomed to it on TV over the course of our lives, and we saw, we're around 99, 2000 people trying to do the same thing, and the technology just wasn't there. There's a movie just came out about that. I forget what the title is. I'll think of it in a second. But about a guy. Yeah, We Live in Public. A guy did this in 1999, and it was very, very early. And now, as you see, technology becomes cheaper over time, and you can do these kinds of things. I think just people are fascinated by the fact that you can just pick up your computer, your laptop, now your iPod or your iPhone, and just see things happening live. And also the fact that you can do it as a publisher. You can just create your own channel, and then you're doing that immediately and quickly. So
But there's also something going on which is bigger. And if I went on Google right now and I searched, live real-time new media, I would get mostly results about articles that have been written. Some of them, 5 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
If you look at some of the search technology like One Riot, right? If I did the same search, this show might come up if it had been tagged that way. And that's something that I think has really been kind of coming for a long time, which is the access to information and the information in a relevant context, which usually means now, the context of now. So if I search Haiti, right, I could get travel brochures, but with the ability to scrape data and know how relevant it is to now, I would get the information I probably am actually looking for.
So over the last, it's come on pretty quickly over the last, I'd say, 18 months with, in 2009, social media made its way into the mainstream. Obviously, Twitter emerged, Facebook emerged, and the mainstream got very comfortable with updating and reading constantly. And now we're seeing mobile push towards that as well, where we just have these devices with us all the time, and we're expecting everything to be up to the minute.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned that, I don't know if folks know about One Riot, but One Riot is a local Boulder-based company that has a real-time web search engine, and it's pretty fascinating. You can go and what you type in, is of the moment.
But I've seen Google changing their results
they're
now.
starting to change
They're
as well.
changing their results.
They're on the
they're on
instant
this.
search
Yeah.
space.
So you made a big switch from a paper magazine to this space. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think, we just had an interesting email discussion about that the last couple days. I feel like I have one foot in old media and one foot in very much in new media. is very exciting. You can broadcast a show live, and it can be embedded and archived very conveniently with JustinTV. We've been looking at using it. We love it. Just going for brownie points. And but on the other hand, I think as we've seen on YouTube, there's a limitless amount of garbage happening more or less now.
Yeah.
And the news traditionally has digested information. And
When you say garbage, you mean like it's not a good thing?
yeah, right.
I just find it entertaining garbage anyway.
Yeah, well, we're more into recycling and all that on Elephant than garbage.
Yeah, okay, got it.
That was great. That was a
Sustainability
good one.
puns. But was one of the questions that got tweeted in was the idea of your carbon footprint or being more eco responsible part of behind your move out of the magazine?
Oh, I think it was at least 75% of it. We had a national magazine that I managed to keep independent, meaning I didn't need investment.
Yeah.
Meaning I could have made very good money the second we were fully national in a meaningful way. And while I want to change the world, I definitely want to be rich and drive around, in my Tesla, lots of drugs, eco drugs and stuff. That's sort of my main focus.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to get rich, but the problem is, as we were discussing, is that in America, about 70% of magazines never get bought on newsstand. So even the hottest cover, Jennifer Aniston naked on the cover of GQ, they'll sell 4 out of 10 or something. So from an eco point of view, that was more hypocritical than I was comfortable with.
So you couldn't push aside, because the process should have been, is you push aside your values,
right,
and just keep going.
That would do what normal people would do.
Yeah.
Well, we
what happened? What was something went crazy?
I was brought up in Boulder. My mom was Buddhist. I'm just cursed with being an idealist. But
what was your dad? Not Buddhist?
My dad is something like 4th generation journalist. So that's the old school kind of, integrity of journalism. And he, I think rightly, is disappointed in the overall editorial integrity of elephantjournal.com as opposed to the magazine. And I would agree with him. I blog for Huffington Post, and while I'm a big fan of Ariana Huffington and what she's accomplished, there's almost no editorial oversight. So I can write about how amazing my new iPhone app is, and that can be my article.
Yeah.
So journalism, in my view, is dying a fast death. And by that I don't mean print media, which we don't particularly care about.
You're just saying the quality of what journalism is supposed to represent is going away.
Yeah, free is expensive. When things are free, we don't make money from readers, so we can't pay our writers. And if writers aren't paid, then they're kind of doing it casually, They're not researching.
And what happens, is you've got all this content out there. So Huffington Post is able to aggregate a lot of content. They don't need to, and probably can't afford to edit it the same way that they would if it was print media, and that's driving down the quality. And then there aren't others like popularity or things like that bring the quality back up. Are the most popular posts the best?
No way. If you look at HuffingtonPost.com, which again I've frankly admired and tried to copy and rip off in every way, 8 out of 10 of the most popular posts at any time are Tiger Woods' mistresses, or someone had a nipple slip, or...
Did you write any of those?
Yeah, that's what I...
When you want to bump the numbers,
Yeah.
You'd be like organic nipple sighting.
Right. Right. Tiger Woods is Buddhist, so we covered that extensively. Not because of any of the affairs. He was brought up Buddhist.
Really?
That was his whole thing when he said, "I'm going to get back on the right path. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to get back to the Buddhism I was brought up in."
I didn't really follow any of the sagas.
Yeah.
So
well, I know you read Elephant
too.
religiously, so no pun intended. So I'm sure you read it there. You just forgot.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Forgot that I read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a question.
Is the paid subscription model then the answer, do you think? Like, are people going to move to that for the quality journalism?
That's a big question.
If I knew the answer to that, I would be on the cover of Fast Company or Inc. My info is on the back here if you work for those magazines. I think no. I think people, like my own staff, frankly, doesn't want to pay to read stuff online. I think that's partly what's so exciting about the online world is we've grown. We have 175,000 unique visitors, which isn't big, but considering that we've had no investment or staff to grow that fast. It's much faster, much bigger than we were as a magazine.
But if people want to consume a certain kind of thing and are going to say that sort of thing is the news, and there's nothing to stop it. The dynamics are in place where there will be eventually no place to get what you might think is the news.
Well, nytimes.com, which I admire and read all the time, lost something like $40 million online last year.
Yeah.
So they're in January, every blogger in America can't wait. Every news site, I should say, can't wait. They're going to start a paid model.
Right.
But it's pretty genius. They started a paid model years ago, you might remember.
Yeah.
That didn't totally work out. They did the Wall Street Journal model where they took some content aside and said, you
Right.
have to pay to get that.
Right.
For old content, or was that?
Well,
just
I can't imagine
Yeah.
paying to get any content.
Well, that's funny because you were one of our first. So we started this reader sort of voluntary.
I can imagine supporting the things that I believe in. You
Right.
know, and I believe in what you guys are doing, so I support that.
Namaste, brother.
Well, I do, but in terms of subscribing to things, I feel like I'm just going to find it someplace else. Now there is a lot of great content that's created that probably has the editorial value of the New York Times or a paper in its heyday. And I'm not as nostalgic about. We've talked about this. I'm not as nostalgic because I've been quoted in many times by many publications, and what I say is I've never been quoted. I've only been misquoted.
Right.
I've been misquoted, and I've been put into a context that is about their agenda.
Right.
So I really celebrate the democratization of media.
Right.
And taking it out of the hands of an elite few. But I also see the dynamic that could drive it just into the toilet in terms of the content that's out there.
I mean, just on that, it's interesting that term democratization of media because, the founding fathers of America didn't want the kind of democracy that we actually have. They didn't trust the people, which is an interesting point. If all of news comes through sort of mommy bloggers or casual everyday bloggers in their boxers or whatever, you're not going to get the kind of research and investigative journalism. And while I celebrate as a writer the fact that I can click publish instantly for free, or I can broadcast my deep thoughts instantly for free on JustinTV, and I do celebrate that, and I'm not nostalgic for the past because you're right. I'm not quite as famous as you, but I've been misquoted probably 90% of the time.
I'm not famous at all, but I've been misquoted plenty. We've had a free press, right? But we haven't had a democratic press. Mm-hmm. And I think people think that we have had a democratic press because we've had this notion of free press, and that there won't be a radical transformation. We avoided a pure democracy. I think the founding fathers avoided a pure democracy because a republic respects certain rights beyond what the mob at that moment thinks is right, even in a democratic form.
Exactly.
Right? So, but a democratic press is very much a potential tool of the mob, and you see that it bullies its way into creating truths that aren't true, and gangs up on stories to create the popularity around a notion that probably isn't true.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be an interesting thing to work through. My generation is less capable of understanding that this has happened. In my son's school, they're teaching the kids how to tell what's true and what's not true.
Great.
Which they never taught us, like, hey, here's an article in the New York Times, what if it's true and what if it's not true? We never had that class. And there was no need for it, but today there is. And one of the stories that my son found for the class was Palin's bunny slippers made from real bunnies. And that was a story that was online, and then the class was asked to decide whether they thought it was true. I was like, that sounds about right. Like, why wouldn't you? That would be the most luxurious form of bunny slippers, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. Like, you make it, and what's softer than bunny
She
fur?
probably went out in the helicopter and
But the kids were all like, no, that doesn't sound true. So they're getting a refined filter. That may be part of what has to happen for this to work.
Was it true?
Do you need more water? We
Yeah,
can get you
make-
more
make-
water.
make
Yeah, I
it
saw you
nice.
making the
Nice.
I need more water face. Was it true? It was not true.
Okay.
It was
all right.
not. See, yeah, you're like
Yeah,
me. I'm like, was it true? It was not true.
well, the funny thing
Unfortunately,
is-
I love it. You almost want it to be true.
You could make your own bunny slippers out of rabbits.
You absolutely can.
And that's the second half of the show, actually, right?
It's
We're all-
crafting.
it's actually a business we can launch.
Would that be green?
Would
There,
that be
you
green?
know?
It definitely wouldn't go over well. We have a very passionate vegan following.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard of
We're not saying eat it.
a kind of
Well, no. I think if you
Chill
destroy
vegan,
the
but-
animal, it's not the eating that they get upset about.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just-
yeah.
It's the
It would be
death.
green.
clear,
If,
yeah.
We would consider green if you bought it at Buffalo Exchange or secondhand.
Okay.
Just to
It
answer
was
your
already
question.
made.
Oh, that's good. So if I buy used leather,
Yeah,
Fine.
you're all right. But you have
Okay.
to go
Why
around
aren't you
telling everybody it's
propagating that?
used.
Yeah.
yeah, you just
Because
write on
otherwise
it.
you make it look cool and everyone buys new
Yeah.
stuff to look like you.
All right.
So what going back to Justin TV, in terms of viewer growth, one of the tweeted questions was, what have you found? What's happening with the audience?
So it's pretty big now. I think 30 million people come to the site every
What?
month. Yeah, to watch about 45 to 50 million hours of content.
Keep
So-
talking. I'm going to read some tweets
Okay,
that are
yeah.
coming in.
So let's see. Lots of people watch. Lots of people broadcast. I think we've had over 1 million people create channels on the site, and our goal is just to figure out how to keep making it easier, faster, and more fun for people to broadcast.
And probably how to monetize it someday.
someday,
Which is a
It's
question.
a distant dream.
It's a question coming in. Mark Phillips, users have to pay for content some way, subscription or ad revenue. What's better for the user, ads or subscriptions? It's a really good question. I mean, subscriptions are no good for anyone if no one's going to pay for them. I think that in the world of social media, it seems, I'm going to start by answering and then you guys answer. It seems as though what the process that's worked is you got to build a giant audience and then you can monetize that audience with advertisers.
Well-
And there's this chasm you've got to cross that's difficult.
I think a lot of people are monetizing right now based on having a niche, and so they're like, a lot of content publishers. Sites that are small, far smaller than JustinTV, but are really focused on a certain thing. Like a lot of the tech blogs, for example, are they're only about tech. They have a very valuable following. It's all like people in the U.S. who have are working in a specific industry, and I think they monetize through a lot of different ways, like both. Well, advertising is clearly like one big one, but I think a lot of like non-traditional things, like throwing your own conference, is like a great way to monetize. So,
So
we'll
if
see
you
more of
create
that,
if you create a media brand, then
Exactly.
conferences can become part of that.
Yeah.
Have you guys considered conferences?
I don't think. I think that we're too broad, right? There's so much different types
wouldn't
of
know
content.
what to
yeah,
have
exactly.
yeah.
You wouldn't know what to have a conference about, and the community is much more. There's less value for the individual in like a Justin TV conference. I think. From those people.
There could be a conference just in how to use
Yeah.
Justin TV, though. I think you could get a lot of marketing people to show up for that one, a lot of CMOs, because brands are going to begin to program what they do. We were talking about this earlier. I think at some point you start to look at PR and even advertising and your brand as a programming model. And what are we doing? Do you trying to get into
Yeah,
the
into
scenes?
the shot.
They've cut.
No.
He feels bad. We're going to have to widen up.
The close up of this.
They cut me
shirt.
out because I was getting caught up reading the Twitter stream.
Cut out the guy with all the green talk. Yeah.
Eco boy.
Just trim that.
To hell with it.
Well, we'll save pixels, right? You
Yeah.
can't be against that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You want to expand on what we were talking about, or you don't even know?
Well, I was just noticing this is a great question maybe for Justin.
Which
That's
one?
from Rocky Mountain Institute, which is an awesome organization. President Clinton, everyone works with.
What's
Ben in
your-
Boulder.
Which one? Ben in
Whatever
Boulder.
you're out.
Yeah.
Can you scroll that up a little bit? Ben in Boulder says, "How do I convince my organization that video content doesn't need to be highly produced? That people want information. People want information. How do you convince people of that?"
That's
Sex,
hard. Yeah.
sexy images.
No, that's probably not the right way.
No, that'd be the other
That'd
one.
be convincing people, but he's trying to convince the organization, which is probably not convinced by sexy images. That's hard. Like we've had a lot of trouble with that in the past. People want to really control their brand image, and I think it's a matter of like seeing some successes in the other social media that you're doing. Like you don't have to control everything. You're not going to be able to.
And also, you can look at YouTube. I think that what you're doing is an extension of what didn't seem possible with YouTube. Okay, there are these videos. They're really poorly produced. Most of them are terrible, but there's some gems in there. And a few of the top videos on YouTube are sort of like on par with Super Bowl in terms of how many people have seen them. So I think that it wasn't the production; it was just what was in there. It's the content. So you can look at that and just extrapolate out that is not going to be the issue going forward.
Yeah.
Production value is a very small part of what people care about.
And then we've had some, just to respond to that question about the high production, we've had some success with, we worked with Burger King and then with Microsoft doing JustinTV productions, and they weren't high production quality, but they worked very well. So, that's an example that you could, point to say that not everything has to be super high production quality.
Yeah.
Although you guys do a nice job. I mean, these are pretty good.
Those
for
are
the
high.
internet.
Those are high. Yeah, those are high production for
Yeah.
JustinTV, probably. And I think that maybe what's behind that question might also be, how do I do it? Like, even if I was going to do a low production thing, what do I need? How do I, what's the easiest way for me to get going on something like Justin?
Yeah, well, I think that's the hard part, and that's a really basic hurdle that people have to overcome. But I mean, it's really easy. Like, all you need is like webcam, right? But then you're not producing anything that's like super high production quality.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
But generally, any camera that can plug into your computer, so you can like take a standalone camera, put it in your computer, and broadcast from like a downloadable app. I don't know. I'm always happy to help anybody.
So if someone wanted to know how to do it, they could try. They could go to Justin. They could see what they can get going, and if they're having problems, they can.
Well, we have a lot of tutorials on the site, and then we have like a support.
And they can send support a note.
They can always
So just try it. There's a guy in the office here that does a show from his webcam, and it's the numbers are dismal, but it's a good start. It's a good start. Then the other thing that's nice, I think, about Justin or any of this live stuff is you create some content that then you can take and you can put it other places.
That's one of the things that we've been thinking about a lot, or I've been thinking about, is like it's a very easy way to create content for people. It's very low barrier. Once you get started, you just broadcast. And if there was 5 minutes of this show that was really awesome, or 1 minute maybe, we could just cut that.
You can just take that.
Take an embed of that and share that around.
Yeah, you do have that ability right now.
Yeah,
you do. So I could take just a little slice of the show and put it out as like a preview or something. That's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. Are you doing anything in terms of live video?
We actually,
right?
We've started using Justin.tv, but I've just been focusing our limited resources on the website. So our talk show kind of took about 6 months off, and then we're doing a ton of stuff this summer, which I'm excited about. And I guess we'd use Justin.
What's the difference between JustinTV and Ustream, in your opinion?
Well,
Similar concepts, right?
Well, yeah, it's pretty similar. It's like live video on the web. Our goal is really to create a platform that's like really fast, easy, and fun for like normal people to use and get into. It's not something that necessarily has to be super high production value, or even the production value of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It just makes it easy for people to get through the process of like starting broadcasting and getting some people who want to watch them to watch them.
If everyone on Earth broadcast, who will watch?
I think that people
that's really the question.
Will watch each other and
watch each other while they're broadcasting.
Probably not.
That's a pretty good show, maybe.
Yeah.
Me watching other live Justin streams.
Switch that.
You flip through them.
Yeah. So here's a question from Seneca College. And this is for you, Scott. It's about story. Like, is the technologist an upfront leader in the idea generation process? You're about bringing technology into marketing.
I think so.
And then it's like, what are the politics like? Because this is a new person, right? This is a new person you're introducing.
So we're talking about the disruption that technology is bringing about to media, and the same thing's obviously happening in the advertising space. So we've been growing technology capabilities here, and we now have around 60 programmers. But it's a different mindset. When I came in, I knew very little about how traditional advertising was made. I'd never worked with art directors and copywriters, and we're coming from a completely different perspective of making utilities and apps and kind of left brain logical thinking people who write code. And from the outset, we put these folks in the creative department. They weren't separate. They weren't in a separate building. They weren't in a separate floor. And it's the transition has worked pretty well. We now have traditional creatives paired with technologists and experienced designers. And when we're generating concepts and ideas for clients, we're able to make ideas that work across all of these different channels. We're making the TV spots at the same time that we're making the digital executions. We're not necessarily leading with TV, which was the old model.
Yeah.
So it seems to have caught on and worked pretty well.
Yeah. What now? We were talking before, basically about whether all this new media was going to destroy the Earth, destroy the world, which I think is pretty interesting. And it's such an open question because both you can see the dynamics in place for both. It's either going to be part of about democratizing and giving everyone a voice. Democratizing media, giving everyone a voice, and that can be a very powerful thing.
Yep.
Or it's going to be, we're going to democratize media, we're going to give everyone a voice, and no one has anything interesting to say, and no one wants to listen to anything that might be of value.
Well,
You start.
Yeah, I mean,
you're on the sort of pointy. You want to take that?
Well,
Yeah.
I think an interesting model in terms of how advertising fits in with one of these properties is Funny or Die. I don't know if you spend much time
Funny or
there.
Die, yeah.
But you're trying to achieve this balance of professional quality content and amateur content. I think they've done a pretty good job because you can go there knowing that every day you're going to see something from a Will Ferrell or a sort of a professional who does this.
Yeah.
And then you have the long tail of the amateur content, and some of that might be great, some of it might not be so great. But as an advertiser putting ads there, you know that there's some good quality content.
Well, in the world of comedy, though, I worry less about what will happen to comedy. I think comedy will thrive with social media.
Yeah.
More in the world of politics and in the world of actual truth and investigative journalism and people who are paid to dig in. And to your point, like could Watergate style journalism happen within social media? Is it possible?
I mean, I use the term on Elephant of forest fire. I think we're in that period, or Wild West. We're in this period of exciting growth in a lot of good ways, and I think a lot of destruction's happening as well. And once the forest fire kind of settles down, there's new growth. And I do think
So you think it's just going to all burn down? Basically, all the old media is going to burn down?
Not all of it. I think a couple are going to survive. The
Yeah.
ones that are innovative and kind of, really change with the times.
Yeah.
And I think New York Times and a lot of sites that are heavy on media, heavy on video, are going to survive. But most of them, I think, are going away. I mean, even in the 10 years I've been here in Boulder, I think I could be wrong, but I think Daily Camera has gone from like 40 journalists to about 6. who
Now, one
cover-
of the things I know from working with newspapers, though, is newspapers did not make their money even with advertising, and they definitely didn't make it with subscriptions. They made their money in classifieds.
Yeah.
And so if you saw a newspaper advertise itself,
Yeah.
it would usually advertise the classifieds.
Yeah.
Craigslist and
Yeah.
eBay is really what has gotten rid of the local newspaper. Now,
Yeah.
there's a few national newspapers that have never been built on that model, USA Today, New York Times, and Wall Street Journal, that are in that area where they potentially could survive. But
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, people love to say, especially, Boulder liberal types like myself, love to say, oh, Craigslist is so awesome, it's so amazing, but it really did pull
took
one of
out-
the legs out from under,
It
journalism.
took the last leg.
Yeah,
out,
Craig Newmark.
No,
Bastard.
there's no blame because it's just this is what's happening.
No, I would
you can't-
never blame anyone.
You can't
Yeah.
stop it. It's the system, but we all have to keep analyzing our system
Yeah.
and what's happening to it and see where we can tweak and make sure that we don't go way off course, or at least nudge it in the right direction. I don't. It's part of what I don't understand is, can we even nudge it in the right direction, or is it just about dynamics? What are the dynamics that are put in place by technology meeting media, and we're along for the ride.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
along for the ride.
No, I think that's the case. I
You
mean,
think it's
I
the
don't think
case?
you have any ability to to influence it at all. It's just going to happen. Like, it'll happen. You're like just one.
Well, I'm going
out
to
of
take a nap then.
Yeah,
'Cause
millions
it's
of
like-
people, right?
Why?
Who vote with their preferences and
Yeah.
then their dollars, basically.
So voting with your dollars still happens.
Yeah, or I mean, lobbying actually has an extremely high ROI. So if you want to change something, I would say that's probably the best way to go.
To lobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how much was spent lobbying by special interests last year in the U.S.? It's a good number. It's $3.5 billion.
Right.
And I was thinking, like, I hardly lobbied at all. So what's the chance that I'm going to compete against that? Probably very low.
But the individual contributions by companies are quite small, actually. Like Google, that just came out. That was a big story, right? They only spent like 1-point-something million in, I think, 1 quarter. Or that's like
in terms of lobbying?
Yeah, in lobbying.
Yeah, and a lot of companies actually lobby in a very balanced way. If you look at where they put their spending, they'll spend as much with the Democratic Party as they will with the Republican Party, even in contribution.
There's a pretty big article just a couple days ago in the Times by Friedman, I think, about how he was saying if you distrust the Obama administration and their relationship to corporate America, you need to look at where the lobbying dollars are going. And even traditional Democratic lobbyists are all throwing their money at the Republican Party right now. Overwhelmingly, it's moving that way. And he said that's a rarity. Almost always the party in power gets the bulk of the money because they're the ones who can make stuff happen.
Right.
So, yeah.
That is recent, and it doesn't match what I've seen or read in terms of the data where the dollars go. It's pretty balanced.
Yeah.
But if it's happening, and I like his
I
stuff,
think he was talking mainly...
But he could be just lying, you know?
Yeah, you have to take a class to
we
discern
won't
what
know.
the truth is.
Although he's in old media, so we got to believe.
Right.
We can just use that.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's
Use
probably
paper.
true. Yeah,
It's printed
It's
on
probably
trees.
true.
It's cool.
So, for a question for you: what was the first major brand to come along and find some value in what you were doing?
I mean, I think it was Microsoft with the PC hookup.
It was Microsoft.
You guys did that, so it was.
Yes.
It was good. Yeah. No, it
Nice.
was. I was also on that show. It was a lot of fun to be on.
Were
like
you?
I mentioned. Yeah.
Was that the PC hookup one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had.
I watched that
yeah,
with
it
you.
was
Yeah.
Big production value going on, and it was
I
fun.
love that. Yeah. Just the production value, yeah.
Now, how are things going for you? Are you with this move to social media?
Well, I'm
out
drinking
of the,
tea right now, so you're going to get a different answer than if I were drinking scotch.
Okay.
But
Let's just have the answer.
Well, the polite truth would be that we don't have classified. So there's 5 table legs, basically, to traditional media. We don't have subscriptions or newsstand
Right.
or classifieds. Advertising is moving online quickly, but isn't there yet, and certainly isn't there, as you eloquently stated, for sites that are in the mid-range in terms of traffic.
Now, and that could change as the technology comes on to really understand the value of a specific audience. I think that's one of the things that's the technology, that layer of technology hasn't come on for the media buyer to say, okay, I want to meet and talk to a certain kind of person. They don't have many people, but man, almost all of them are who I want to talk to.
Yeah.
And I have the ability to not make a special buy, not call you up, not even make that decision, but make the decision way upstream and just have my buy filter to the people I really want to talk to. And you get a little bit of that.
Right. Yeah, I think you're talking about ad networks there.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Me neither.
I'm
I don't
talking
know what
about
I'm talking about.
technology.
Has the iPad and tablet devices changed the way you think about it? There's some optimism in the magazine industry with that device coming out and others like it. Does that change your thinking?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the right person to ask. A couple years, if the iPad had come out, I would have probably, been in heaven. But I'm now. It is gorgeous. I mean, I've never seen websites look so good or magazines.
Yeah.
It is incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
But for us as a website, it's less exciting.
We're gonna give away
Not working
a
on the
T-shirt.
iPad
Should we
app.
do that?
Yeah, we are. We have a whole
You
bunch
wanna-
of organic, locally printed
You
elephant
just give it
T-shirts.
to me.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think we had a question. I don't know if we can go back to Derek Markham. He's a leading green blogger.
I actually want
Up
to.
there.
I want to win this T-shirt. I like it a lot.
Yeah, well, that's the girls' version, so that would
That
look.
would fit.
Maybe you could wear it at the
That's
I
Wired.
always whenever I'm in a store, I'll go to the girls section because the colors are nicer.
Right.
And then you're picking through. I'm like, oh god, it's happening again. Guys' colors are just boring.
Yeah.
in my
Black.
opinion.
It's true.
Black,
Gray.
red, gray. Yeah. And
Well,
especially,
especially like we cover eco fashion a lot.
we got to talk about iPad. But
Let's
pick
do
a
it.
favorite question while we talk about iPad.
So we got Derek Markham, one of the top green bloggers in the U.S.
Yeah.
And he tweeted in
How can we make big social and viral changes with digital media? Not pie-in-the-sky concepts, but real lasting change. Jesus Christ.
Ooh, that was a tough one.
That is really tough. Do you want him to win the shirt for that?
His wife might like it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think he'd look good.
We're gonna give this shirt away to Waylon's favorite question, but what I wanted to get into iPad a little bit, because I think what Steve Jobs has done there is similar to what he did in music, which is once the industry was really suffering, he kind of came in with a way to monetize, a new way to monetize within the digital universe, and it's like throwing a life preserver to drowning,
throwing an eighth of a life preserver, though.
An eighth of a life preserver
doesn't monetize it.
It maybe
the same
won't
rate.
keep you completely. Yeah,
It kind of just stay drowning.
yeah. We're gonna cut off this
a
section of
half
life
deflated
preserver,
life preserver, so you can kind of just die slower.
Yes.
but they're all over it. And I think you see a lot of the publishing industry really excited about it, promoting the heck out of it. And doing a lot of what normally would be Apple's job in promoting it, because it is this life preserver, this potential life preserver that they've been waiting for, and it was offered at just the right time. Yeah, I don't know that it really is enough.
We'll have to see how much it makes,
Yeah.
right? That's the end story.
Yeah, so I mean, how we're doing is we're basically just, we've won some awards. We won the Green Twitter Award in the U.S., the Shorty Awards, and Facebook has been huge for us. We get more traffic from Facebook than we do from Google itself. So social media is definitely, I always say, has saved Elephant in our transition.
But when you say that it's like a quarter of a life preserver,
I'm just
What
saying
do you-
that
yeah.
people, like the music labels, did not make from iTunes nearly what they were making off of CDs. Like, it was not. As
Oh,
good.
absolutely.
Like,
Oh, you're
right,
saying
like,
that
they can't-
that
they
life
couldn't
preserver.
It couldn't preserve the industry, and it's unclear how much you'll make, how much the magazines will make off of selling like iPad, content.
I think it was
versus-
part of preserving what is the music. Like a lot of people in the music business say, well, there's no such thing as the music business anymore. But there is. It's just transitioned more into, the money's made on the live shows. The music is used to promote the live shows and the band and to get you there.
And
then iTunes plays somewhere in there, but not a.
Sure,
not a
it's decided to
huge
change their business
contributor.
model.
Yeah.
It's not a direct replacement for the money that we're
and
making.
maybe that's where iPad sort of winds up too.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of help, and it's a little bit of a promotional device, but it ultimately isn't exactly how you monetize live shows. New York Times live shows. That's what it's got to be.
Well,
It's interesting that we're talking live though. And then it would be kind of fun if you got to go see the New York Times.
I think people will pay for an experience that's like in person, right? So you guys should think about doing some sort of conferences or.
I'll do it with you. Let's do a
meetups.
conference.
Like a green conference.
You saw him say it.
I didn't mean it.
Cut that.
No,
cut out
actually,
that part.
it would be fun to do something
Yeah.
with you. You guys are amazing.
You get lunch or coffee. I mean, just do something.
Yeah, no, I mean a small event like that.
Yeah.
Not.
I go for a bike ride. Or,
Yeah, we don't need other people there.
I do a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So
I mean, I think the TED conference, I have no idea how they are monetized, but that's
I like
been-
this question a lot. Bob Weisenberg said, "Who are all those people in the background? Are they just extras?"
He's
One
one
person
of,
earlier
That's
asked if they were packing.
Yeah. They are.
They're all my staff.
We're shooting in the lobby of CPB, Crispin Porter Boguski, an advertising agency, and those are people who work there, walking around. Does he get the shirt for that? Because I thought it was nice.
That was pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good.
He kind of deserves it.
Okay.
All
All
right,
right,
Bob
you get the
Weisenberg.
shirt. You get the shirt.
At Bob Weisenberg.
So this may be better. Can we give away another shirt to MCAST27? Are they weighing and packing weed back there?
They're in a warehouse.
I don't even know, man.
They're no, they're making lunch for folks.
Kind of looks
but
like
it's
it,
a
huh?
good Boulder question.
It is Boulder, yeah.
There's a dispensary. Boulder's all about the dispensaries lately.
Yeah.
Do you know about this?
Yeah, I mean,
Are you
that's
same thing going on?
Same thing at San Francisco.
So
and LA,
so it started and it was like, okay, it's medical marijuana, and now people are really not even pretending at all that it's and so there's a place called the Organic Candy Shop, and it's next door to GameStop. So we drive by and it's like Organic Candy Shop. My kids are like, yeah, Dad, organic candy. And we're all excited about it, and we're like, oh yeah, we got to go to organic candy shop as soon as we can, you know. And then I don't know, at some point my wife like kind of takes a better look, and we almost sent my daughter in there to go get some organic candy, you know. She's 10, and I think they would have sold her some.
Probably.
I don't know. That could be it.
She had a headache.
That could be the kind of investigative journalism we'd like to see, though.
Yeah. So we started this reader-supported thing. You were one of the first to join, and if people join that, then we'll have money to pay our writers.
How is that going, the reader-supported thing?
I wish I'd done it. I mean, it's going wonderfully, and very slowly.
Can you describe it a little bit for people?
Yeah, basically, we stay free for the masses so we can grow quickly, and then those who love Elephant can't get enough and want us to improve our quality and our ability to do video on JustinTV and do a lot more things, can pay optionally $9 a month. And it's actually sort of the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's like an old school plaque. You basically get your name on a plaque on every page of our site.
Oh, really? That's cool. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's already we're getting about $2,000 in recurring donations every month. If I'd started a year ago, we'd probably be sustainable.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's small potatoes, but it's media. The cool thing is I don't have to print. I don't have to pay to print.
Right, and you have to waste all that paper and do all that destruction.
Yeah. Cut down all those trees.
Someone is asking, I think this is kind of a kiss-ass question. Waylon, your mug is so cool. Where can I buy one?
It's from Southside, so
yeah,
I wouldn't insult him.
Tell them where it's from.
So this is
you
actually... You
can't buy it. Not available in stores, this mug.
Yeah, Alex actually already mentioned it's from eBay. So this is a 1968 GOP mug, and I have about 20 of them. Some of them say Nixon, Agnew. You know, I'm a well-known conservative, so it just seemed to fit.
Where did you find those? On
eBay.
And you found all 20 of them, or you've been searching them out one by one?
You can just go like vintage elephant mug, and you'll find thousands of these.
Really?
They're the official convention mugs for 50 years. They're made by...
so that's where you can get it.
Frank Coma. Yeah.
Frank Coma. I remember his work. He did...
Big fan.
Some donkeys, I think, too, maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Did they let him play both parties? In your opinion, Justin, why won't old media monetize via things like, the question's coming in real time, like iPad? Not. See, now there's pressure on the people typing. They're like, netbooks. Justin, in your opinion, why won't old media monetize via things like iPad, netbooks, readers? I don't know if that is your opinion. Is that your opinion?
I think it's an open question. I think that like there's downward pressure on the price points because people don't want to like what people expect to pay for like digital is like far lower than what they expect to pay for printed things.
Yeah.
And it's unclear how many people will actually convert. I mean, compared to like the physical objects. So I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe the iPad like content store will like work, but I'm not sure it's a given as a replacement for the magazine.
I mean, there's this thing that we're talking about in media is happening in other things too. I mean, if you look at products like RepRap, where you can get licensed free 3D CAD designs and then print them out on your own printer, right? On your own 3D printer.
Right.
That idea is basically free products that all you need is a printer to go make.
Yeah.
So this intellectual property is just getting cheaper and cheaper and becoming more and more of a commodity. And it could just be the end of capitalism. Like, is there something happening where everything's just free?
Even if you could print free product, people would still buy things.
You would have to buy the raw material?
First of all, we're like far off the point where you could like print your own like T-shirt or your own camera to do your broadcast for JustinTV, right? But even if you could print your own
things,
we
don't know how far off we are, though. Really, do you think we're very far off?
I mean,
there are 3D printers that can already use multiple materials. And a circuit board, you can print. They are printed. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Maybe we're 20 years away.
Okay, all right, that's far from me.
That's far
What,
for you?
to print a
Okay.
camera?
Yeah, literally to print a camera.
Right.
But I think that people are going to buy stuff
Cool.
anyways. Like if you think about it, people buy like the fashion industry. I just watched this presentation. It was like a TED Talk by, I can't remember who. It's embarrassing, but the fashion industry has almost no IP protection, right? Like people can knock off and do knock off other
Right.
people's
Yeah.
designs all the time.
Yeah.
But people still buy designer brands because that has a value to them. They like own that brand.
Yeah.
Right. So there's definitely, I mean, whether it's good or not, right? People want it. And
Yeah.
So that's
I
an
think
example of
fashion's
how
a different
someone
thing, and that allure of fashion's a different thing. But you're also seeing brand not matter in things like cameras, right? So, people who thought that Nikon was the best camera, on that week that they don't have the best camera, and you can research it online and you can get real information, people just make a different decision, and you're seeing that brand loyalty just getting eroded in every category, and maybe that's part of this too. That brand loyalty to New York Times, is that being eroded? Is the idea that I can get my news in lots of different places, and whoever's got the best news at that moment in real time, maybe it's you, maybe it's JustinTV has the best news in real time, I'm going to go there.
I think it's a good question. I do think because so much media, at least coming back to media, is dying out, that it's almost the opposite. You look to trusted sources. I mean, Fox News is by far the most popular network in the U.S.
But do you think people
most trusted.
stopped?
Most trusted.
Yeah. Do you
And-
think people stopped? There are those survivors, but but if you look at the local newspaper, which has been decimated,
Right.
and their
Well, it's all
model
AP.
didn't work.
I mean, it's not even, there's very little local news anywhere in the U.S. anymore. It's all just a Xerox photocopy, basically. Of AP and
I should have
Reuters.
a trusted source for local news, and it seems as though most of us gave that up without even considering it.
I would agree with local for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that's sad and glad. I mean,
Sad
I think
and glad.
I think those,
Conflicted.
that's where the democratization is exciting, because I think on a local level, bloggers can be investigative in a kind of casual. It's not that hard.
Well, and I think that I was having that same thought about investigative journalism. The classic form has gone away, but maybe a new form of just thousands of people picking at little pieces of the story is what can take its place. That you will be made transparent not by, one dedicated reporter, but you'll be made transparent by thousands
mob.
of little
Well, you saw that in the 2008 campaign. I mean, one of the biggest stories was the guns, religion, and whatever that quote was, and that was a citizen blogger for Huffington Post recorded Obama giving a speech off the record in San Francisco, saying that people in tough times, they just go back to guns and religion and whatever. That was one of the biggest stories of the campaign, and that was a grassroots blogger.
Yeah.
I thought too, it's a really cool point when you talked about kids in school. They're having to learn about what the truth is.
Yeah,
and
what to
that's
trust.
that'll be interesting to see if that's what will they place a value on that to where they would pay for subscription, like growing up. Will they see, like, I want the truth, I want good information? Where will they find that? If there's a lot of free stuff, right? But will they see, having been taught that? Because we didn't have to go through that. We know that if we want high quality professional journalism, we go here.
The other thing we didn't have that exists now is where major news outlets are slanted one way or another. They're right and left. We really didn't have that. We didn't have, and what we had was that journalistic idea that you would only give the facts. And sometimes it was frustrating to read the news because it was so factual. You're probably not old enough to remember this, but it was so factual that you'd read it and you'd go, you'd wish for some editorializing.
Some personality, yeah.
And now all news is mostly the editorial pages expanded and spilling out into the rest of what's going on. Can we get Waylon some more tea? I see his eyebrows going, I need more tea.
To speak to the idea that people will pay for quality, I think that's hard to say that they will, because it's tangible. When you pay for something, there's a tangible cost, but the benefit is not nearly, for a trusted source or quality content, is not nearly as tangible, I think, in terms of, I don't know, that's just my...
It'll be interesting. So
well, with Chris Anderson's book Free, right? and that notion that things will move towards free. What are the other models that pay for free other than ad supported?
So I think
Are there others?
And the real life, you get like an experience in real life thing, like a conference.
Yeah.
I keep coming back to that, but that's like something.
But that's not free.
No, but it pays for free. It pays for you to have for free. It's just like the music industry, right? Where we give out
where
all this.
The event
we take a
pays
loss
for
leader
free.
on all this
right.
music, but
Yeah.
but we sell like
Yeah.
an experience, like a live concert experience,
Right.
And like T-shirts and merch and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
we see. I mean, you're maybe in a really sweet space. If you look at the TED conference,
Yeah.
they're monetizing the video feed when it's live, right? So you can go to Aspen and you can watch it on a big screen, and it costs $1,000 to sit there and watch the whole thing live. I think there are a lot of people that think I would never pay money to watch something like that, although other people have learned that they would, and
Yeah.
then they see a lot of value in it, and then the price drops from $1,000 to $0, basically over the next couple weeks as they put those videos out online, which is pretty
It's good
wild.
price discrimination.
It really is.
Yeah. So like you pay for if you're willing to like.
It shows the
wanna write
value
that,
of
yeah.
live, though,
Yeah.
right? That it goes from $1,000 to free. It's interesting.
And
interesting to
ironically-
think about, moving your platform more into the live space, whether it's events
Yeah.
or other things,
Yeah.
as a way to, continue to monetize.
Well, I think what TED does so well is it's a see and be seen kind of
This
event.
is a good comment. Are all these guys aware of their lady legs
That's
on
only
camera?
Waylon.
We are,
Yeah,
because
we're-
we looked at our lady legs before we went on. Let's widen out.
All right.
Yeah, it's
All
a
our
mess.
knees are touching too.
It's a mess.
That's kind of awkward.
We tried to do some
We're
of
just going to
this.
wear boxers beneath the table, right?
So yes, we are aware.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Thanks for that.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I was saying.
Go
so,
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I think, and ironically on the other end, the free aspect of TED gives them such fame and gets
Right.
that quality out there
Right.
that then the hoity-toity people actually want to go pay $1,000 to feel special and network with special people.
Because they made it worthwhile through the distribution of it. New tea.
Yeah. With honey.
Yeah. So someone says people pay for what they love. Yeah. But they also don't pay for what they love if they don't have to.
And they don't have to. There's everything online's free, so why pay?
There's lots of lovable stuff.
Right.
What's going to happen is this idea of live going to push into traditional broadcast media? I know that they must look at it and they must notice that the only thing left that they get the big audiences for are live sports events. Do you want to talk about that and how that
Well,
converges?
it seems the best way to draw eyeballs, and we've even pushed into the live advertising space, right? In the case of the JustinTV stuff that we did with I'm a PC and with Truth About Tony, where the advertising itself was an event where we told people about it beforehand. And
Yeah,
then
Truth
we
About
said-
Tony was cool.
Yeah,
You should
and so we built
explain
up
that.
and we had TV that drove to it. And then this was a one-time event where we had Tony Stewart, stock car racer, hooked up to a lie detector test to say if he really liked the Whopper or not.
Yeah.
And so there was media,
How did it
traditional
go?
pay.
Did he like it?
He liked it.
Thank
Yeah,
God.
for sure.
Although it would have been
Exactly.
probably even cooler if it would have turned out that he was lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I hate this.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
well, I'm just lying a little bit. Don't love it. Yeah, I like.
But
Do you like it? Yeah, like it.
But that goes back to what One Riot does. So if you were to search Burger King at that time at One Riot, then it would be about Truth About Tony, right? So we're creating this form of advertising that is a one-time, real-time event for an hour, and that's the buzz about the brand for that moment.
Yeah.
And then it kind of dies down, and then you can. Yeah.
And what's Google's struggle with this? Because I've read and got a sense that they aren't totally sold on the idea that if you search something, you want the real-time version of that.
Well, I think it depends on what you're like. I think that it's hard for them to figure out where to put results, right? Like a lot of things you don't want the real-time search results for. Like if you're
Right.
searching for the answer to a
Napoleon.
programming question, or Napoleon, or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
You want
I want
like
a
the
live
best
answer
result.
for that.
I want
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're even searching for like you know, a DVD or something like that, or movie, like you're probably not searching for, if it's like an older movie,
Yeah.
you're not searching for like the most, like what someone's saying on Twitter for.
So,
you know?
so they're just concerned that they'll give you the wrong results if they move
I think
too
they have
fast.
a very like
they also have
successful
a
business.
Yeah, it is
right?
a very
Like,
good
so you're-
business. I've heard it's very
Yeah,
successful.
no one wants to fuck up the formula.
Yeah, but you also don't want somebody else to come up with something that's a
Yeah.
little more
Right.
likely to deliver the results people are looking for.
Right.
So, this has been a good show. We're gonna wrap it up now. I want to thank you guys for
Yeah.
coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Appreciate it. Over here, coming in. Good having
Just
you.
leaving you hanging.
We're gonna roll credits and pretend to talk as the camera keeps going the way they do. All right. Thanks.
Now I'm my sister.
Credits
Now you're my side.
are right in front of me.
Yeah. Sorry.
Come on, let's shoot the shit. Let's pontificate, verbally masturbate.